Again, original gel coat. This is not painted. So the way I have it set up, this adjustable spray head sprays water in, and then this pumps water out through this strainer. And I told you what I didn't do and became annoying, which is why you see this little cup here, is I didn't put a drain in. So this only pulls the water down, and there'll be a ½ an inch left in here, and then I would just scoop it out. But what you're going to want to do is pop a drain here where it's low. I would just let it drain out to the bilge, but you know, you might want to let it drain through the transom or something. That's totally up to you. But this is really in good shape, and I think if you measure and take the volume, it comes out to be a little over 12 gallons. Unfortunately, it is square, it's not round. We use a lot of live small baits, big bull minnows, spot and stuff like that, and I've never had any problem with anything dying in here. But again, those are really small baits. So we're here in the looking in the back corners. These are the boxes you were asking about. So, and this is what I tell you. They had this little molded in tray, and the boat only ever had one when I got it. It's made to fit right down in here, so you can't see underneath. So this just lifts out. Looking out underneath, it's probably, you're looking, this is the transom, the inside of the transom here. Looking down, there's nothing down on this side. This is the starboard side. This hose here is where the water pumps out of the live well. So it pumps to this through hull here, just shoots it out of the boat. This pipe here was just some American ingenuity that I had here. And what it is the way the deck drains is, you've got these channels down the side, and they're about 3/4 of an inch deep, the whole length of the boat. So water collects in here, then it runs out through this hole, which is one end of this pipe, and goes out through the transom, and goes out through that scupper. They're ball scuppers, and they worked really, really well for me. These are actually glued in place with epoxy and Cabosil, so they're really in there. They don't leak, and that was sort of a permanent thing. So they've worked really, really well. So this guy fits. It's actually made to go in one way. So this is probably about maybe 10 inches deep. Like as you can see, got spare plugs and stuff in there, and bilge plug, that kind of stuff. So these little latches here are terrible. It's probably something you'll end up fixing because they're just crap. Same thing with the hinges. They were what were on it. I chose to reuse them just because that stuff gets expensive. Go over to the other side. This is where all the wiring and such comes through. I don't have the little box for this side. It wasn't here when I got the boat. So there's the shot of your water separator. It's just a Yamaha brand. It's called a Mini 10. You can go to any Yamaha dealer, ask them for the Mini 10, and they'll give you the spin-on filter. It's pretty inexpensive. It's 10 micron. Here is where the hose going to the bilge pump. It exits the bilge through that through hull. The battery cables are running to these posts. The two big cables here go up to the console where the batteries are. And then these smaller ones are the ones that are connected to the engine. All your rigging, wiring, and all that stuff is through here. You can see primer bulbs down here, but you've got plenty of room to get down here to install trim tabs, whatever you need. The transducer wire is going through the transom here, and it's gonna come out right there through that clamshell. And I'm really a stickler about sealing that stuff up so it doesn't leak. But yeah, right underneath here where my hand is, you can see where all the wires come from the console. And you can't see it, but there's a 3 or 4 inch tube right there that runs up to the console, and I'll show you under the console in a minute. But down through here, you go right down into the bilge area. So this part is what every 20-foot Seacraft owner despises, in that this little wash well here, and you can see I've got this little bulkhead here. It's just starboard, 2 screws sealed up around the edge, so when water's in here it can't come back into the boat. Does really well. This boat stays really dry, especially with just 2 people or 3 people. If you've got 1 person in the front, you're not standing in water in the back. But this is your only bilge access, is right here in this little 6-inch pie plate. It's really kind of terrible. And it was a whole lot easier when the motor wasn't on here for me to work down here. But you can see the top of the bilge pump here, and I've got an electronic water witch bilge switch on there. Works really well. It's going to be hard for you to see on camera, but back under here is the live well pump, and there's a Seacraft down there to turn it off. So yeah, that is just a nightmare. That was just a terrible design. But on the good side of things, it does keep the bilge really dry. Even when I had this boat in a slip, I never had any water in the bilge. I'd turn the seacock off, and there would be, the boat stayed really dry. I never had any problems with water on it. So engine rigging, just pretty standard tube. Goes up here. These are your hydraulic steering hoses. And I'll show you the engine shortly. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the cover off. Again, we got snaps around. The leaning post, fairly certain that it was the original post that came when the boat was new. The aluminum's in decent shape, no broken welds or anything. There was never anything between here and here. What I would always do is I had a bungee cord. I had a cooler to sit under here for drinks and all that, and I would bungee it so it wouldn't slide out. These rod holders are crap, and you'll find out real soon. They are 30-degree rod holders. So what happens is, you put rods in it, they're at a 30-degree angle, totally kills the use of the back of the boat when you're fishing, because the rods are sticking out at a 30-degree angle. You're trying to stand there, fish, and you've got rods everywhere. So one thing that I always wanted to do was either change those to a 0 or a 15-degree, or just get rid of them and put cup holders or do something totally different. The seat cushion I had done when I had the cover made, and they did a real nice job on it. It's clean, there's no tears in it. It's only 2 years old, so they did that for me. It's sturdy. This is lag bolted and 5200 to the floor, so it's not going anywhere. I'm like 6'2", 6'3". The height of it's exactly perfect for me. hits me right below my butt cheek, and it's a perfect height for sitting down. So looking at the dash, which I know is what you wanted to see most, 4-foot digital antenna, stainless ratchet mount, pretty standard. This is, you know, I didn't really need an 8-foot antenna because I wasn't going to be that far from shore ever. So nothing's ever been done on this top dash. This is how it was when I got the console. The windshield I had custom made, and as you'll see, it's fairly high, and the reason for that is it just offered a little bit of protection. It's always really choppy here on the Chesapeake Bay. This is a great rough water boat for a 20-foot boat, but I would just sit down behind the windshield and stay dry mostly. So that'll come right off. You just see it's just screwed through, about 5 or 6 screws around. It'll come right off. So on the front of the boat are these rod holders. There's 6 of them. The reason those are there and that I didn't put rod holders here was that I wanted inside the console to be totally dry storage. And unless you cap off your rod holders or run drain tubes or something like that, then obviously rainwater can go through these rod holders. So yeah, I mean, that's your choice if you want to put rod holders down the sides of the console. It is a little annoying when you have the cooler in. You can see you don't have a whole lot of room here to put rods in, but they're sort of angled back a little bit, so they work fairly well. So just ideas. So come back. This is one of my most favorite things that I did on the boat, and that's the flush mount battery switch. It just makes it so it's really convenient. It looks nice. It's a little bit brighter white than the console, but you don't notice it. But this is such a nice thing just to be able to reach in here, turn the batteries on and off. So flush mount battery switch. Come up to the dash here. Just a pretty typical 13-inch stainless wheel with a suicide knob. Nothing special. C-Star hydraulic steering helm. Right here. Yamaha key switch. The 704 binnacle control. You know, power trim there. So come up here. This is just a fairly inexpensive Western Marine 6-gang switch. Switches power and its nav lights. This is the bilge pump. They didn't have a label for water in, but this pumps water into the live well. I skipped the switch and this one pumps water out of the live well. Fairly simple. I know you said you were thinking about a radio, so you might end up changing that stuff anyway. Ray Marine. This is a Ray 49. So I'll show you that it works. We'll get the weather on here.
At 8 knots. South Craney Island, winds were west, 10 knots. Buoy at Norfolk, air temperature was 54. The wind was northwest at 8 knots. Cape Henry, air temperature was 52.
So, yeah.
The wind was west at 12
come down here. Here's the mic. One little thing that you'll probably change, you'll find out real soon, is where that mic is. When you full throttle, you end up hitting, so you can't quite get it all the way. So that needs to be moved. Turn this off here. The distress button, this has never been registered before, so you can go on and register that. And actually the Lowrance and the Ray Marine, the NEMA connection is not hooked up, so this doesn't display GPS data, but you can. Super easy. The HDS screen's a little bit dirty. I'm not a huge fan of Lowrance stuff. It works pretty good. Some of the side scan sonar and all that stuff is really neat. As far as a chart plotter, you know, I'm not overly impressed with the speed of the unit. It does okay. Not the best thing ever. I'll show you here that it works. The GPS is, the antenna is built into the unit. Never had a problem with it going out, getting a lock in a location or anything like that. So you can see that's where we're at now. That's where my parents live. Actually, they're close to a river in the middle of nowhere. So we've already locked on. You see the question mark's gone. So yep, zoom in. All that stuff works pretty good. It's real simple to use. I have the box, and I'll give all that stuff to you. So that works, no problem. Just gonna make sure that goes off. So, pretty standard analog fuel gauge. Again, nothing special. This is the Millennia radio. It's just a real basic AM/FM radio. Under the console, it has a iPod hookup, and actually they have a connector that you can put it out on the dash. It's nothing special at all. Just wanted some tunes, and I didn't want to cut a big hole in my brand new console. So what I did is real easy. You can see where the VHF antenna, the AM/FM, is this little black one. It's just spiraled up, and I wrapped a little piece of tape around. So you can hear it. My parents live in the middle of nowhere, so they don't get good anything here, so the radio is a little staticky. Then your Yamaha digital tack, and it shows hours, water, I believe it shows temperature, and if you have oil or not. So super easy, really kind of not an exciting dash setup, and I'm sure you'll do much cooler things. The speakers, nothing special, 6-inch, just JBL stuff. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and if you'll notice,